Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. It seems as though a massive error of judgment has been made by prison authorities in HMP Grampian. It seems that they have locked up a woman in the male estate. That is totally against the law. It's totally against regulations. And if this is so, then I'm afraid the the boss at the prison, the chief warden, needs to be fired for allowing this. It is gross miscarriage of punishment. And the reason that this has been allowed to happen is that Andrew Byrne, who is a prisoner, or was a prisoner, was locked up in the male estate. And you're thinking, well, he's a male. Yes, he is sexually a male. You know, by sex, he is a male. However, he liked to go by the name of Tiffany Scott. Now, I know you've got a lot of problems with this in terms of having men who pretend to be women wanting desperately to get into the women's estate. But Burns was such a problem, and we're going to go through this article and you see why he was a problem, that they eventually did not let him go into the women's estate, and he was locked up in the male estate, in which he died. Oh dear, what a shame. Nothing of value was lost. You'll see why I'm saying that as well in a moment. However, his death on his death certificate was recorded as female. That means they had a woman locked in a male prison. The warden must go. It's not allowed. What are they going to do about this? Is anyone going to sue? Will anyone be held responsible for locking a woman up in a male prison? He deserved to be locked up, and the fact that he died is going to be of no consequence to anyone. I don't think anyone cares, and it's one of those cases where, now that he's dead, the world is a slightly better place. We'll take a look and see why he is better off where he is, in a hole in the ground, and why we're all better off that he's in a hole in the ground. But we need to draw a veil over this farce of men pretending to be women to have easy times in prison. Here goes. So, Fury as prison bosses record a notoriously violent male inmate's death as female. Now, the fact that they've recorded him as female means he must by law be female, and therefore he should have been in the female estate. This is the problem they've got. But when you look at what this guy has done, you'll understand he could never ever be put in the female estate. And if that's the case, then why did they record his death as female? If he's a man, and he must be to be in a male estate, why did they put female on the death certificate? It's craven cowardice. It's people not wanting to stand up for what's right and what's decent, and instead being intimidated and beaten down to push a worthless, unethical, unhinged agenda. And it's got to stop. The Scottish Prison Service has been slammed after recording the death of Andrew Burns, who died in HMP Grampian on February the 29th, under the female name of Tiffany Scott. He was not Tiffany Scott, he was a man. Scottish prison bosses have come under fire after recording it as a female. The Scottish Prison Service has been slammed because they've used the name Tiffany Scott. The death has now been included in a list of prisoners who've died in custody on the SPS website, sparking claims that the inclusion skews the data, because of course it does. This is being put down as a female death in prison. It is no such thing. Dr. Kate Coleman of the Keep Prisons Single Sex campaign said on Tuesday, "We understand from those who knew Burns that this was all an expression of his rage against the system after being placed on an order for lifelong restriction." The guy was off his head, and it is, as I say, that nothing of value has been lost by his death. Rage, which also found expression in acts of serious violence against staff and incredibly disturbing and dangerous self-harm. Scottish prisons were clueless over how to manage him during his life and appear to be equally clueless after his death. Former Justice Secretary Kenny McCaskill said, in death as in life, the stupidity and perversity continues. This was a male sex prisoner and should be recorded as such. It should be dictated where he's incarcerated when serving a sentence. It should dictate how he's registered when he dies. He's in a male prison, he's a man. To register him as a female means that the warden of that prison has held a woman in a male jail, arrest the warden, punish and try the warden, throw him out of his job, take away his pension, and tell him, you locked up a woman in a male jail. And then let's see if this madness continues when the other prison chiefs see exactly what happens. McCaskill continued. He said, it is important for posterity as during his life. Statistics and crime recording data is of huge importance and can impact the safety of women as every much as his actions if imprisoned on a female estate. This nonsense must cease. Burns came out as transgender in 2016, but is understood never to have begun any physical transitioning, nor to have possessed a gender recognition certificate, and therefore male. Just because he calls himself a woman as he tries to get into a woman's prison, and trust me, you don't want this monster in a woman's prison. Anyway, the 32-year-old was serving an indefinite sentence under an order for lifelong restriction, and had the reputation of being one of the UK's most violent and menacing inmates. So the fact that he's died is, oh dear, what a shame, never mind, move on. I don't know how he died, but if he was killed by another prisoner, I don't think that they want to investigate that. Just let it happen, never mind, move on. Anyway, Burns was handed the sentence in 2013 after admitting stalking a 13-year-old girl by sending letters while serving a prison sentence. He'd been convicted of attacking a nurse in Cheshire in 2010, and in 2017, Falkirk Sheriff Court was locked down amid safety fears as Burns was sentenced over a series of violent incidents in Glenakill Prison in Clackmannanshire. And I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. Glenakill, please correct me if I'm wrong. Never heard of it before, don't know the pronunciation. Glenockle? Don't know. They included striking a prison nurse on her back with a hurled chair, punching a prison officer in his face, spitting at another officer and trying to bite him. Burns also smeared his excrement over a cell and ripped up tear-proof clothing. Just lock him up in a tiny, tiny cell, hose him down every day, feed him gruel and tell him to die. I mean, this is it. This is who these people are. If they want to act like animals, treat them like animals. And I really do feel that sometimes just, a noose is enough, really. It will save a lot of money and it'll just make the world a better place, wouldn't it? Burns had been deemed an unmanageable risk to public safety and could only have ever been released if it was decided this was no longer the case. During one court appearance, Burns had to be accompanied by 7 guards when he appeared to face assault charges. It is understood that after becoming unwell, he was... Oh, that's a shame. He looked like he was sick. What a damn well. Let's hope it was painful. That after becoming unwell, he was taken to Aberdeen Royal Infirmary, where he later died. The cause of death is said to be unclear, and really, nobody cares. Police Scotland were advised, and the matter reported to the Procurator Fiscal. A fatal accident inquiry is expected to be done in due course. Are we really going to waste more money on this piece of human shit? Don't think so. Scottish Conservative Deputy Justice spokesperson Sharon Dowie said, it is appalling that only a public backlash stopped this violent criminal from entering the woman's prison in the first place. Now women will feel insulted all over again that he's been registered as female on his death certificate. This decision shows how the SNP's trans prisoner policy is skewed and panders to the needs of criminals. There is simply no way to justify this violent offender being recorded as a woman following his death. And indeed, back in January or February last year, 2023, he'd applied and it was rubber stamped for him to go to Cornton Vale. A man like this being allowed to go. And it was only the public backlash at the time that stopped it. And it's only the fact that that public backlash existed because people get angry about this. And that is why we all must always reject this. And whenever we hear this thing is about to happen, we must be up, reject and fight and clamour. Let the clarion calls go out that this must never happen. No biological man, regardless of how he considers himself or how he dresses or what he does, even if he's post-op, don't care, he's biologically male, no biological male must ever, ever be put into a woman's prison. Now, this guy's got to be recorded as male on his death certificate, and the head of the prison must lose his job. That's how it is. And that's how you deal with this. You just got to stop this bullshit right in its tracks. I'm coming up. We need to stop pandering to prisoners. We need to stop pandering to the trans lobby. And we need to start accepting physical truth. A man goes into a man's prison, and I don't care what he calls himself or how he dresses or how he acts. He's male. He's treated as male. He was male when he was doing the things he was doing. He's male until the day he dies. If he wants to ponce around in prison, that's fine. And if the other prisoners find that attractive and do things to him, fine. Don't care. I do not care. When you break the law, you should not be pandered to in any way, shape or form. And most women in prisons, the vast majority of them, are vulnerable. And they need to be protected from the likes of Andrew Burns. And his name isn't Tiffany Scott, and he isn't female. Thanks very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.